Alright, welcome. So today we have Raw doing a quick build video for him. Nothing has really changed build wise for him from season 2 to season 3. Only a couple different items to play around with, so the video is probably pretty quick. Now, I want to first cover the abilities. Only a couple important notes here is the Searing Pain, his ultimate, has a very low cooldown, scaling all the way down to 50 seconds at max rank, and some people may abuse this by going for some cooldown reduction items just to abuse the fact that it's already on low cooldown, so lowering it down to like the 40s and high 30s is great, especially for those that miss their ultimates. That can kind of make up for just having more ultimates to use, as well as cooldown reduction builds are pretty good for also sieging towers with the heal with the Solar Blessing, get more heals off, things like that. Or you can just go with pure burst mage build, so that way Searing Pains can probably just like half health somebody, depending on what stage of the game it is, and just be more of a burst mage. But typically with the burst mage build comes more risk, and that's typically with the dual morb. So after you pick up a starter item, Vamp Shroud, just for sustain, you go to the tier 1 item, Colossal Artifact. This is pretty popular just because you can build it into the dual morb. Again, this is high risk, high reward item. Raw doesn't have any escapes, he just has like a slow and a heal, but if you're pretty good and you have some good peel, you can really benefit from this item because it gives up to 140 magical power. Or the safer route is just to build this into Chronos Pendant after you pick up your boots, so that we have cooldown reduction, like I mentioned earlier, just to be more of a utility type playstyle with more heals and more ultimates, things like that. So let's just go into Lost Artifact for now and just go to boots. Typically, if you want to go full utility, then you can go into the Shoes of Focus and then the Chronos Pendant. That's 30%. You're not really going to get the 10% from anywhere else from a viable item. So yeah, that's pretty much your option, or you can just chill at 20 cooldown reduction and then go with the pin boots. So yeah, just go with the pin boots, go back for Chronos Pendant. Before I go any further, you might see this item. I've seen this in a couple SPL matches. I'm not really sure how viable it is, but it's pretty interesting to see some pros pick this up. But they pick up the Celestial Legion Helm I as their first item slot, and I can kind of see why. The 70 physical protection is helpful for obviously against a physical jungler. Junglers typically try to gank the middle lane. There's a lot of action in the middle lane, so that's great. Really great protection. 70 protections, that's basically like a Breastplate of Valor, as well as 60 magical power. That's almost as much as an Obsidian Shard, so has two really good stats for a fairly cheap price, and not to mention the crit damages, or the crit passive proc is always decent. But yeah, so maybe something to play around with. But this is typically what we're going to see. After you go into boots, you have a few options. If it's a really fast pace match, you could go to your pen item, which is probably Obsidian Shard, and then go to Ride to Hoodie, and that's pretty much your core items there. Or if you want, you can build into a stacking item. Your two stacking item options are pretty much Warlock Sash for more health, so you could be a little bit more of a tankier target, since obviously Raw doesn't have any escapes, just a slow and a heal. Or you can go to the Book of Thoth, which I believe would provide you with more power, if I'm not mistaken. So you can go into Book of Thoth, start building up the stacks, and just have more mana for more ultimates, and that much mana just really complements the cooldown reduction that you have, because you're going to use your abilities more, it's going to cost more mana. So you can go to the Book of Thoth, and then you can just go to your pen item. Obsidian Shard, with Spirit of Magus, ideally you might think it's okay because you can use your 3 aggressively, which your 3 is a damage over time effect if placed on enemies, and so you can quickly get those Spirit Magus stacks on. But typically you don't really want to use your 3 to actually damage enemies or minions. You want to use it just to heal your minions up and heal your allies up as well. So majority of the time, Obsidian Shard is going to be the better item, more penetration and just more power from this item. You could go into Spear of Desolation. The only thing is it's really, really pricey, and it's flat pin. There's a big difference between a flat pin and as well as percentage. Percentage is great against tankier enemies, especially with the Borg of Hope and Height of the Meaning Lion. Not Height of the Meaning Lion, Height of Urchin and Mantle of Discord being really popular in the meta. Again, it's just pretty much your best penetration item to go into. Now after that, more than likely the match is probably coming to a close, so Ride to Hoodie is a great, just huge spike in magical power. The passive is really strong considering you already have 4 other magical power items, so that 25% is going to give a huge burst of just magical power. And then from here you can go back and sell your starter item mid to late game whenever you feel like you don't really need it, and you can go into other items that you probably wanted to pick up earlier before. Like let's say if you really wanted to go into that Spirit of Desolation, you could have, just for another big magical power spike. Or if you want to go to a more bursty situation, you can go to the Soul Reaver. And the same idea, if you don't want to go into a stack an item before pen, and you don't want to build pen right after boots, then you could go into the Soul Reaver in that place right between the boots and penetration, and you could do something like that. So yeah, those are your pretty basic options there. Now for solo lane raw, this may be popular, but I'll probably still go a Vamp Shroud, and then go into boots. I would say maybe boots, maybe like Lost Artifact, then boots. But pretty much I would probably go with the Breastplate of Valor as soon as you can, because typically solo laners belong to like warriors, assassins, maybe even some hunters. So for laning in the solo lane, you're probably fighting physical. I'd probably go with the Breastplate of Valor, somewhat pretty close to your boots. So that way you're not dying to tier within just one combo from tier. So that's pretty much that. Now, a raw for assault is very different, since assault you cannot go back and heal, obviously. Traditionally you see the Chronos Pen as your first item, then you can go to your boots. I typically play more of a support type role for assault in raw, because his heal is really good. So you probably want to go with the more cooldown reduction routes, and then go with the Rod of Asclepius, because of obvious reasons. It increases your heals, movement speed, health, has all the great stats you need for assault. And then from here you can just go into your other basics like Obsidian Shard, or you can go into the Lotus Crown, which is also great. If you really want to, it might not be the most viable thing for Conquest and other game modes, but if you're really like just being a laid back healer support, then you would pick up your Rod of Asclepius and Lotus Crown for those game modes as well. But that particular playstyle may not suit everybody. It's just for if you just want to have fun with the game and not try to be total pro and have the best results. So yeah, for like assault, Lotus Crown, pen, and then just go straight into the right hoodie. This ideally would be something for assault. Now for arena and other casual game modes where you don't have to worry about, you know, buying tier 1 items and starter items, it's just straight up boots if you're choosing. I would say Chronos Pen, you could go to do more for arena, but typically in arena you're going to die more in arena compared to Conquest. So do more might not be advised for arena and other casual game modes. Most likely just go in the Chronos Pendant, and then go to other fun items. You can still build stacking items in arena and other casual game modes like Warlocks or Book of Thoth, because obviously you don't lose half your stacks if you die like Doom Orb. So those are other options. And yeah, I would probably just go the normal, just burst. I'd probably just go into Soul Reaver, Pen, and Ride to Hoodie. This is your typical burst build for raw, and then your last item could be honestly whatever you want. You can just go all burst with Spirit of Desolation. So those items that I mentioned in the past few builds, those are pretty much your core items to go to for raw. Honestly, so yeah, hopefully that was helpful and giving you an idea on how to build raw for different situations. Like I said, you can either go full utility support with cooldown reduction build, or you can just go full burst mage raw. It's totally up to you. Both are viable, or it can be just a plain old healer raw. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. The video turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it would. So yeah, peace.